Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Gods Love Dinosaurs was one of my most anticipated games of 2021. I pre-ordered it with my friendly local gaming store, and I was happy to receive it as early as I possibly could. I didn't want to find out a lot about the game in advance. It's Pandasaurus, they do dinosaur games. I was ready to really like this game. Oh, I was ready to love this game, and I ended up liking this game. So it's a tile-laying game where you're building an ecosystem. You're going to have preys, predators, and dinosaurs in that order. Preys will multiply, predators will move around and eat the prey, then dinosaurs, which will score you points, will eat the predator. So there's like a food chain. And I think the title's a little misnomer. Like in the video game world, when you think of a god game, you're thinking of this world creation, and I guess you're doing that with the tile-laying, although it's very abstract and very generic. And yes, there's dinosaurs in this game. I understand Dinosaurs sells games, so put it in the title of it. But it could have been anything. You know, if it was a lion or a bear, it would work just as well as a dinosaur. But I get Dinosaurs sells games, and I'm okay with people marketing their items. But the title really tells you about a different game. I felt your mileage may vary, and it led me to believe it was going to be a different game than it was. What do? You get an abstract game. You're going to have these different prey pieces, and the only reason why they're different pieces is because different colors or habitats of the tiles will house different preys, and that's a way to spread them out in the way they multiply. Then you have two different predators, the cat and you have the eagle, and they move differently, and that's interesting because they're actually going to move differently, but they all eat preys. Doesn't matter which prey, they eat all preys. And then the dinosaurs are how you're going to score points. You're going to score points for having more dinosaurs, but you're going to need mountains to set them on. And then the egg system, which are your victory points, can also bring extra dinosaurs onto the board. That all works really well. And dinosaurs can move around. They're almost like a queen. They can move anywhere they want within 5 spaces, and they eat predators. They'll eat preys too, but they must eat a predator and land back on a mountain. So it's like this puzzle, this abstract puzzle that you're doing. As far as abstract games go, I don't know that it's the best. It's a light little family affair, and I think you can play this with anybody. The components and the dinosaur theme do bring it up a little bit. With dinosaurs, I think you can get a lot more people to play it. I think it was a little cute. Components are nice, although they're way too small. I don't know what they were thinking here, other than maybe saving costs, which I don't get into too much on this channel. But it comes together as a package. It's a fine game. I like it. I can get my kids to play dinosaur games. I think it's fun, but it's more of an abstract puzzle. I think the title leads you to believe it's going to be more thematic than it is. It's not. It really is not. So at the end of the day, I ended up liking the game. My expectations were a little high. I was really looking forward to this one based on the publisher and the title, and it didn't live up to either of those, but it's a fine abstract game. The game could easily have expansions, I think, with different predators and stuff going on. Pandasaurus really isn't known for expansions. I don't know that this game's going to be popular enough to have expansions. Maybe. What do I know? You could easily fit that. And for me, it's a keeper. I like the game. Let's see how long it stays on the shelf and how long I keep pulling it off the shelf. I am eager to play it a few more times, which is a great sign for the game. So for me, it'll be a keeper. Here's God Loves Dinosaurs. You can see it's by Pandasaurus, brand new game. A strategy game of food chain hierarchy. So that's what you're going to get here. We'll take a look at the rulebook in just a few minutes. You're going to get a board, which we'll take a look at in a second. And then you're going to get some tiles. These will be the tiles that you'll have to set up the game board. It's a tile-laying game. You're going to have a bunch of these little tiles with different icons on them. And they're really thick, really nice. Pandasaurus always does a great job. You're going to have any number of little doodads here. So let's take a look at all of these. These will be the different animals and eggs that you'll have during the game. So you're going to have rats, and tigers, and eagles, and frogs. These little green ones are frogs. Bunny rabbits. These are the eggs that you'll be scoring. This is the black dinosaur that will be all over the field here. You can kind of see them, rah, right? So these are all really neat. The tiles are good. These are the nest. Real thick cardboard you're going to have down. You do have a pretty nice little insert here that everything will kind of fit into. And I just leave everything in here when I'm playing. I just play right out of this. And we pull this out if somebody needs something. And it's pretty great. The only thing I don't like about the insert is there's not a slot for like the A's, the B's, the C's, and the D's. They kind of get mixed up in here because it's just not deep enough for them. Really. So you kind of got to just kind of fit them in here so the stacks aren't perfect. It's my only complaint with it, as you can see. And then here is the board you'll be utilizing, really just putting tiles on here, and here's a little tracker across the bottom that you'll be utilizing as you play. It's fine. It kind of folds up. Good job as far as I can tell. You can see mine is ripping a little bit right there. You know, I've only played this a couple times and it's already ripping up. Here's the rule book for God Loves Dinosaurs. You can see it opens up. You can see a picture of the components over here, the game set up with a picture, which is great, and then an overview. Now, I do like this rule book a lot. I should say that right off the bat, but there's no player aid with the game, and there's no player aid on the back. So, I mean, you're just kind of flipping through this constantly to kind of keep track of what you're doing. It's a simple game, but we played the first time with the rule wrong because it's so hard to navigate through this as you're going through. Pictures and examples as you go through of all the little stuff that you're doing. You can see there's plenty of pictures, examples. You have the things over here on the side. But it really just needs a cheat sheet that you go through. And it's like, bum, 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 bum. Here's an overview. Frequently asked questions, the animals work. I mean, this is just wasted. Why was this not a player aid? So, I mean, this probably would have went from like an A rule book to a C just for that little aspect. And there's no player aids in the game whatsoever. So, huge miss right there. So I'm going to show you how this board works, and I'll show you how the map works, etc. So you're going to fill this up with tiles. Now each of the tiles on the back will say A, B, C, or D. You will shuffle up all the A's together, all the B's, all the C's, and D's, and then you'll place all the A's, then the B's, then the C's, and the D's will come out last. That's kind of wanted to show that as you're going through. On a turn is very easy. You're going to pick whatever tile that you want, and you will add it to your ecosystem however you want. There's no placement rules. You just got to touch stuff. And basically what to watch out for is there's an icon here for an animal. Then you will take an animal from the board and you will place it on there. That's really it, okay? So place a tile and place the little animal out. Now the key to it is that when all of the tiles for an area has emptied, then this animal right here will activate, okay? If the dinosaur tracker is here, then the dinosaurs on the board will activate. The dinosaur will move on, and then you will refill whatever spots are empty on the board. Okay? So if the game progresses and this came off, let's say the dinosaur is not there, then you would activate the rabbits and the game would continue. The dinosaurs would not activate. If this came off, and then this came off, and then these came off, and then finally you have this, the rats will activate, then the dinosaur will activate, he will move, and then you'll refill the rest of the board, but only the empty ones. So this is not going to be refilled because it was not completely, that column was not completely empty. So that's just an important concept. So the game is very easy. The first thing I do is pick up one of these tiles. If it has an icon on it, you're going to put it into your ecosystem and then put the little meeple thing on top of it. So let's move to the board and I'll give you some more details about what else is going on in this game. So here's your original board that you're going to get. This is your nest. You're going to have, I'm going to lay these flat just so you can see them. You're going to have the 3 different ecosystems and you're going to have a rat, a bunny, and a frog on here. Now when you draft these tiles I've already showed you, you can put them whatever. They can match, they could not match, it doesn't really matter. So if you place this here, then you will place out and fill the icon up. And as the game progresses, you'll start putting things out here and it will get larger and larger, as you can see, until you have more of this that is out. So if you're with me so far, you can kind of see that this could definitely get a lot bigger here, right? And the icons can match, they could not match. It doesn't really matter, although it does behoove you a little bit to have these things match up here on the board. So this is kind of the situation that you would have here set up, and let's say that that is there. So you might have a whole bunch of these that will come out as the game progresses. Now, if you remember, I told you that those columns would come out and then the animals will activate. So let's zoom in a little bit. I'll tell you about how these animals activate. So if one of the preys activate, it's very easy to do. Let's say the frog, and they all work exactly the same. So you take whatever is next to somebody. If there's a habitat there, then you would place another one on that location. If you had had a location like this, where there was 2 options, he could have went on either side. Think of it as mating. That's kind of what I think of it as. So let's say you had a situation like this with these 2 guys here and you have 2 options. So if the frog came up to move or activate, this guy could mate here and then this guy could mate here. And that's how you're going to populate the area. So let's say the rats were to activate next and I could place a rat in either one of these 2 locations. And then this guy could produce in either one of these locations. And that's one way to get more and more prey on the board. Now, the two predators you're going to have on the board are these orange like tigers and these pink eagles, and they're both going to move different ways. Now, the tiger is always going to move 2 spaces. He can move in any direction and change locations, and then eat whatever prey he lands on. So I would eat this prey, and it would come off the board. If he were to land somewhere that didn't have a prey, like say he landed here stupidly for some reason, then he would starve and come off the board, and you would lose access to him. So you always kind of want to leave, and if whatever he goes through, let's say he goes here, 1, 2, then both of these would come off. Now, any location that he passed that had a prey on it that he ate and was not his ending location would repopulate with another tiger. So that's another way to get another tiger on the board. Now, the eagle is going to move a little bit differently. He's going to move up to 5 spaces in a straight line. So he can't move around the board, jig-jag. He go 1, 2, 3. Let's say he wanted to move that far. He would eat both of these guys, but because he ate a prey right here, another one would come out. So that's kind of how the eagles would work in the game. So let's talk about the dinosaurs really quickly when they activate. So what's going to happen is they can move up to 5 spaces. They need to eat the predators, basically. So they need to eat a predator and get to a mountain within 5 spaces. So they can go 1, 2, 3. They would eat the prey and the predator. So those would come off the board. They would gain an egg for doing so for each predator that they're able to eat. Now, at the beginning of the turn, you can always spin these eggs if you wanted to. Beginning of the dinosaur activation to put a new dinosaur out in the nest. Now, in our example, there was already one there, so we could not add a dinosaur there. But let's say on the next time we had these 2 because I earned that extra one. So at the beginning of the dinosaur activation, I can spin 1 to put a dinosaur out. Then he would try to move around the board. 1, 2, eat this guy. 3, 4, he would come back. That would give me an egg. 1, 2, he would eat this guy. 3, 4, and that would earn me an additional egg. So I would end up with 3 eggs. Well, that's a 5. I would end up with 3 eggs for the turn. Now remember, at the end of the game, you're going to get a point for each egg that you have and a point for every dinosaur in the ecosystem. Most points is going to be your winner. So it behooves you to get these mountains out, and if you get them out and you get the dinosaurs over here, so you can continue to bring out more dinosaurs, but you need to get those predators out. Remember how I told you earlier, the predators are going to move through the board, and for each dinosaur that they eat that they don't land on, is going to bring an additional one out. So you need to get those predators out, get those preys out, get those predators out, so the dinosaurs can start eating them. And that's kind of how it's going back and forth is going to go. So when you get as many dinosaurs out, as many predators out, so you can keep dinosaurs fed, but the prey is what the predators are going to eat, so you need that out also. So it's kind of a chain of habitat of what's going on here. And that's how you play Gods Love Dinosaurs. Who should buy this game? This is really a family weight game. Yes, gamers can play it. I think there's something there for them, but they may go to other abstract games that maybe have a little bit more going on strategically in it. Even so, this is a game that could play with non-gamers, I think, pretty easily. You could play it with family weight game, and then you can play with gamers too, and then have a little bit more AP and stuff involved in it. It's an abstract game, so the title lent me to believe that it would have a little bit more theme into it. They tried really hard with the components, which should have been bigger. But I think overall, just be prepared for an abstract game, a puzzle where you're moving things around. You want to make sure you have a good supply of prey, predator for the dinosaurs to be able to eat. I think all that plays into it. There could be a little frustration with children, I think, because of kind of the way that ramps up and you want to have dinosaurs. I think that a more strategic or abstract thinker will do better at this game. So parents might want to hold back a little bit while they're playing against the younger ones. At least keep them in the conversation. At least I would do that. As for me, it's a keeper. It's a game I ended up liking, not loving. I probably put it a solid 7, 6.5, 7 on BGG. And I think that if you play this, you'll probably have a good time. I'm just wondering 6 months from now what's going to get me to pull it off of the shelf. We'll see. Maybe we'll come back and do something else on this. But for now, it's going to be a keeper.